With Beckenham, we found that the school was doing some amazing work around taking a whole school approach to being gender inclusive.
Yeah.
And with relationships and sexuality education, many primary schools struggle to think, how do they do that in a primary setting? But they've done some incredible work.
Do you want to talk about their why, like how they came to a whole school approach? Because I think that's a really interesting story.
Beckenham's why is because they realised that it's important to look after every single student. And initially they had a gender diverse student, and then the principal, who's amazing, so Sandy, realised, we need to make sure we're inclusive of all students. So Sandy implemented a whole wide range of policies and practices, also looked at teaching and learning within the school, and then also how do they can connect with the community, because those three components are crucial for a whole school approach to wellbeing. So the why was to be inclusive of diverse students, but again, it's about being inclusive of every student. So they did some incredible things, such as they got rid of the uniform, and now there is just a uniform. There's no girls or boys uniform. They don't line up children in girls and boys, so they just line up children. And they do things such as raising the flag. And the flag every morning is a different flag. So as you said, Nick, different flags from around the world, different countries. And we met a parent that we talked to who said it was one morning when she arrived and they were raising the pride flag. And what was wonderful is she talked to her child about, that's our flag. Because she was telling her son, you have two mums, and this is amazing. So they felt included. And to me, that's crucial for any school, to make sure all young people are included.
And kindness, I think, is the other thing that sort of comes through in our school. So that's something we have to work on and think about how we're going to encourage that in our children and our staff, because we needed to include everybody. And if you're suddenly not represented in something that's happening at school, why would you go along with your community? So we feel we develop great relationships with our community as much as we can, and we really foster that. So what we wanted to do was make sure that we were developing a positive culture within our school. Things like we all start day with karakia, and we all start the day with, prior to COVID, fruit in the morning. So we took on the play-learn model and play before school, and then we have karakia and we share kai together and have our learning sessions. And we even things like flipping that we eat after we play has really helped our kids and our communities and things like that. We're not afraid to ask for help. So we have different companies that we have Bellyful that supplies 60 lunches to our school twice a week. Now, we make sure that there is food at school for any child who needs food. We make sure there's uniform for anybody who needs it. We help with visa applications. We have a dedicated ESOL teacher that not only helps the children who are learning English as a second language, but will help whānau if they require it with different things, tenancy agreements, things like that. So very much a pastoral care sort of model goes on at our school too.
It's that same philosophy, isn't it? Is that everybody's important here, and helping people with their visa applications says really distinctly that that this is your place,
Absolutely.
and we believe, we believe that this is
and
your
we
place.
want you in our place. You're part of our place. We want to keep you as our place.
Yeah. You've got that gorgeous carving as you walk into Burnside.
We do.
That wahine.
Yes.
And do you want to talk about that? Because that's just so beautiful.
Yep. So Hine Taio was, she was made by the students about 15 years ago with the help of the amazing Gavin Britt, who's no longer with us but is on our walls in our office so we can remember him. Hine Taio is welcoming you into our school. She has her arms outstretched, and in one hand she has a gourd of knowledge, and it actually has a piece of pounamu that lights up when you go past it. So that really intrigues the children. And on her other hand has Araki Mountcock as the maunga of the South Island. But as you go around Hine Taio, there's all sorts of things. There's all of the birds that are now our different teams in our school. There is a kite flying because the children desperately wanted to have something in there that showed that we had fun at our school.
Oh, sweet.
There's a tuatara down the bottom that is the only thing that faces backwards to remind us to learn from the past as we were walking forward, because she's actually lying on footprints that are adult footprints and children's footprints, because we're walking this path together. And you can always find something new in there. There's the 3 springs from Jelly Park, which is part of our local curriculum, and we've developed our local curriculum around things like that, and it's something that we need to care for, and it's that wellbeing of the community as well. We have a lot of community groups that come and work within our school as well as parents and whānau. We have a local village church that have about 20 readers that come to us every week, like grandparents for a lot of our children that might not have grandparents in New Zealand or might not have grandparents at all. And they are part of us. They are really special to us, and they make quilts for our children that we can send home to them, and they not only keep them warm, but they're just stunningly beautiful. And they also supply groceries that we take around when we're doing home visits for different reasons. Anytime we need to do a home visit, we always take kai.
What's the benefit of that real cultural approach to whole school wellbeing that Burnside are demonstrating, do you reckon?
Well, there's some really interesting research all around nurture schools.
Yeah.
And nurture schools is a principle which, again, you can't nurture young people until you work out their identity, how they connect. And when you said about connecting to whenua, I mean, that is crucial.
Yeah.
So connecting with local hapu and iwi is all about developing a sense of identity, sense of belonging, which works very much with the mana model and also the puma model, which means if we want young people to feel they belong, to feel nurtured, then they need to have a sense of connection. And the nurture model also is an interesting model because there was a school in England who was really struggling with behaviour management, etc. And the principal could have taken a really hardline approach, but instead they took a whole school approach to wellbeing through nurture principles. And they did things in this primary school like toast time, little things. Yeah. And that toast time allowed them to talk about their daily lives, a sense of connection to whānau, what's been happening in their home, gave them a sense of belonging to that school. But the teachers were also saying it gave them a chance to see what was going on with the young people and see if they needed support. And it built relationships. That's what it was really about. So the connection, that cultural responsibility is vital.
Yeah. Is that what you're noticing?
Absolutely. One of our many focuses in school at the moment is oracy, because we feel it's really important that the children can communicate but tell their stories, be brave and be able to stand up in front of people, or just talk to somebody next door, because that could have been scary. Offer an opinion, learn how to disagree with someone or agree with somebody. And we've ensured that all of our different PD strands sort of don't clash with each other. So we've been doing oracy, we've been doing DMIC for maths, which is all about conversation. We've been doing PB for L, which is part of that. And being making sure that we don't have too much on the staff, but it's all going in the same direction. Being able to converse with people is just so important, and being listened to. So that's something that we've worked on as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's extensive work in terms of supporting kids to communicate and empathise.
Just the difference in the children. And that sort of thing, you know, they're okay to go, are you okay? Or do you need something? You don't look so happy, is there something wrong? Or you look great, what are you doing? And children are saying that, 5-year-olds are saying that. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Well, no, I think because that's a really key point. We have some schools who might say, look, we want to address bullying, but they address bullying through addressing bullying rather than coming back and thinking, what are the influences here? What do we need to strengthen and build so that our young people know how to communicate, how to build relationships with each other, which is exactly what you were saying you were doing. Yeah. And we know that when we sense of connection, build the relationships and meaning and engagement, then we have less problems with bullying.
It's that relationship thing. That's our real focus at school. Yeah. If somebody asks me what's Burnside about, it's about relationships.
I would almost say that Burnside sees itself as one whānau.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So I'm really interested about how you've got a really diverse school, lots of complexity there. How are you engaging with whānau? Like, are there many whānau that aren't engaging?
Not many. Any school does have whānau that we can't get hold of. Yeah. But no, most most of our whānau do engage with us, and if they're not, we're on the phone to them, or flicking them a text, or putting their child on social media if they've given permission, because then they're seeing their child what's happening at school, so they want to come down and see what's happening. Within our junior school,
That's actually a really clever tactic.
We're not Thali. I'm in a really lucky position that I've been released the last couple of years as Senko to do things, so I can do that sort of thing. But I guess you need to think about what's more important is this is going to sound bad, is doing a whole lot of assessment and inputting all that data into some sort of student management system where it's all going to sit there important, and that is for some schools, and I get that, and that's that community. Or is maybe not marking those books and engaging with your families and giving some people a ring to say, hey, such and such has had a great day today. Give him some big ups, he's had an awesome day. How's it going at home?
What a lovely thing to do. I mean, to get that phone call.
It is, because there is other phone calls.
Yeah, I know. When I see the school pop up on my phone, there's either, somebody's vomited or someone's in trouble.
Or... Yeah, because I had a phone call like that the other day, vomiting. Nothing's wrong. You could hear the panic in their voice.
You're changing whānau experiences of school, aren't you, in that, because, the reason that we get concerned when we see the school's phone number come up or whatever is because of our own experiences.
100%.
And you're going about changing... that kind of history for them, and measuring the outcomes of your whole school approach to hauora at all?
Not formally, but I think you probably could look at things like attendance statistics, just engagement. You'd engagement from whānau, things like that. We just did a survey about lots of things in school, and we had about 170 families out of 330 kids reply to that. So yeah.
Wow.
They care about our school.
Yeah, that is engaged, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of research around that to show that if you feel you belong to the school and you feel nurtured and you've got that whole school approach to hauora, then you are more likely to go along. You're more likely to engage. So attendance rates do increase. So when I hear people say, oh, you just need to focus on numeracy and literacy, it's not that schools aren't doing that. They're just doing it through a different way. So you're focusing on wellbeing first so that young people can learn.
Yeah.
Have you got any training around wellbeing, mental health yourself?
No. Next question.
Well, I just wondered why you find this so easy.
I think we're led from the top. So we've got a principal, Matt Bateman, who lives and breathes this and is all about relationships and teaches us how to talk with people and how to interact with people and how to care. And the children know that too. And he's everything to them at the moment, so that's really cool.
It seems to me that every time you put something in place, you think about how it will impact wellbeing.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the time that's because it's just who we are and we can see that need.
Yeah,
so
it's embedded.
It is. It's just how we roll.
Yeah.
And I think you made a really good point that for some schools or some people, they think about mental health or they think about well-being and they think, oh, I don't have the training. But what we need to do is step back and think of mental health as a resource for life. And the research very clearly shows that we're all human beings and it is about caring and it's about connection. And they are some of the key components of building resilience.
Yeah.
So we need to start with the fundamentals.
It's also really interesting too that often people say, oh, I'm not skilled in this or I feel uncomfortable around it. And so we need to bring in some professionals to do this work for us. And that's not been your approach. That's not been Beckenham's approach, you know. And it's just kind of you're as you say, that you're just being responsive to what you see.
We often talk about these are our kids. They're not your kids in your class and your kids in your class. They're our kids. And that's really important. So we get to know our kids.
Yeah.
So a whole school approach means also thinking about staff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Like little things like, as I said, we start karakia every day. We start all of our staff meetings with karakia. We have an admin meeting on a Monday morning, which we record on Zoom. Because not everyone's at school on a Monday morning at 8 o'clock, might feel like they're missing out on something. You can either watch it live or watch the recording later. And that's making people feel a little bit more included, things like that. Treat box in the staff room. Nice coffee.
And those little things actually make a big difference.
Huge difference.
Because
Well,
again,
it's about care, isn't it?
Yes.
It's the same care that's happening for you that's you're doing for your kids.
Yeah.